Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into some pretty serious geopolitical tension that's been brewing over Greenland. We're going to do that by putting the naval power of two NATO allies, the United States and Denmark, head to head.
So let's just get right into it. A conflict between the US and Denmark over Greenland? I mean, it sounds impossible, right? These are allies we're talking about. But, after some pretty strong statements from both sides, this exact question is suddenly on the table. And it's forcing us to look past the diplomacy and at the actual military reality.
And yeah, if you thought this was just talk, well, check this out. This statement from the Danish Defense Ministry is about as blunt as it gets. It was a direct reaction to U.S. comments about Greenland's importance to American national security, and it just shows how seriously Denmark is taking this whole thing.
So what is going on here? What's really behind this geopolitical storm? Well, at its core, what we're seeing is a direct clash between America's strategic interests and Denmark's long-held sovereignty over this massive island.
You see, these comments coming from the U.S. administration haven't been just a one-off thing. They've been repeated. And that has created a very real diplomatic chill, pushing us to ask, okay, what if this went beyond words? What would the actual military balance on the water even look like?
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to look at the hard numbers from the Global Firepower Index for 2025, and this is where you'll really see the scale of this situation become crystal clear. And boom, right off the bat, this chart just says it all, doesn't it? Look at that difference. We're talking 440 warships for the United States versus just 50 for Denmark. I mean, that's not just a gap, that is a canyon. So that's a difference of 390 vessels. Just let that number sink in for a second. It's staggering. But, the total number is only part of the story. It gets even more one-sided when you start to break down what those ships are actually built to do.
Right, so this is the key thing to understand. It's not just a numbers game. You have to look at what these fleets are made of. What are their actual capabilities? Especially when you're talking about projecting power across the globe.
Okay, let's start with the big ones, aircraft carriers. These are basically floating airfields that allow the U.S. to project air power anywhere in the world. They have 11 of them. This is a strategic game changer that Denmark, with 0 carriers, simply does not possess.
All right, now let's go under the surface. Submarines. People often call them a nation's insurance policy because of their stealth and incredible power. The U.S. fields 70 of them. And Denmark, well, you can probably guess, 0 again.
And the pattern just keeps going when you look at the major surface ships. Destroyers, the US has 81, Denmark has none. Corvettes, 26 for the US, 0 for Denmark. But wait a second, look at that bottom line, mine warfare. The numbers there are way closer, 8 to 6. That's interesting. And it's a little hint that Denmark's Navy is designed for something totally different.
So, looking at all this, you might think it's an open and shut case, right? But does this really lopsided comparison tell the whole story? Not quite. Because this isn't just about what Denmark lacks, it's about what their Navy is purposefully built to do.
And check this out. The tables are completely turned here. All of a sudden, Denmark holds a clear advantage. They operate 9 frigates and 9 patrol vessels, while the massive U.S. Navy has 0 in these specific categories. So, what's up with that?
Okay, so what's a frigate? Think of it like a versatile workhorse of a navy. They're absolutely perfect for what Denmark needs to do. Things like regional security, surveillance, and escort duties in the North Atlantic. They're not built for projecting power across the planet like an American destroyer is. And it's pretty much the same story with their patrol vessels. These ships are the absolute backbone of their local maritime security. Their whole job is to safeguard their own waters and police those crucial shipping lanes. It's a completely different mission set, a different mindset entirely.
All right, so now that we've looked at the hardware, let's pull back and look at the bigger picture, because this whole situation is about a lot more than just warships and steel. See, here's the real kicker. The entire military dynamic is actually shaped by a piece of paper, a treaty from way back in 1951. It already allows for significant U.S. military access to Greenland, as long as they have consent. This totally changes the game, doesn't it? It shifts the conversation from one of potential invasion to one of negotiation in international law.
And this brings us to the big final question. The naval numbers are stark. They tell a very clear story of overwhelming military might. But then you have these alliances, these treaties, these layers of international law. So it really makes you wonder, in a conflict between allies, What truly holds more weight? The firepower you can bring to the table or the agreements you've already signed?